Yahtzee, 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 Yahtzee. Why do you keep doing this to yourself? So you liked Modern Warfare 1, surely you didn't like it enough to still be holding out hope at this point. You're like the dude whose goose laid one golden egg and spent the next 20 years sticking their head up random geese's arses. Firstly, they're called cloaca. Secondly, while I've certainly given up on Modern Warfare because I get enough chest-thumping self-righteousness from listening to silverback gorillas at the zoo reviewing the latest Marvel movies at each other, I still hold out a sliver of hope for Black Ops. Black Ops 6 was pretty awful, but that one moment with the daring escape on American flag-decorated motorbikes made me think that if this series keeps going on, then sooner or later it's going to cross the Resident Evil event horizon and become knowingly camp rather than laughably bad. And that, friends, is where some true magic could happen. But while I find it hard to believe anyone involved genuinely took the Black Ops 7 campaign seriously, I mean, a previous Black Ops protagonist turns into a giant plant monster and then you fight an evil kaiju-sized Michael Rooker, none of it was laughably bad. Laughter was the furthest thing from my mind, actually. The main question I've been quietly seething about is why, after all these years of being proved wrong on this, Call of Duty, and indeed AAA games generally, still can't internalise the notion that some people want single-player, and don't want sequels to single-player games to be multiplayer-focused. It's fucking wedding party DJ syndrome again, isn't it? Come on down and dance in front of everyone. You want to, really. Don't be such a stick in the mud. The only stick in the mud around here, mate, is going to be this broom handle after I shove it up your arse. Black Ops 7 plays its hand on the fucking title menu. The only options are multiplayer or co-op campaign. You can play single-player, the game just refuses to admit it. You have to go through the fucking matchmaking screen, hunt through terrible GUI menus, and set yourself to appear offline to get a single-player game going. Even then, I still wasn't allowed to pause the game, and kept hearing mysterious snatches of other people's voice chat for some reason, like I'd accidentally opened a gateway into the secret hell for extremely boring people. It wouldn't start in offline mode, and even then still refused me entry until I went into my PC's fucking BIOS options and turned on something called Secure Boot in aid of their slightly shady anti-cheat thingy. Yes, Yahtzee, and now you want all that effort to have been for nothing. Anyway, the story concerns Peter Petrelli off of Heroes as a dutiful soldier man apparently incapable of separating his teeth while speaking, and he's part of a, sing along, you will know the words, covert special ops military unit representing an unclear authority who must battle the machinations of an evil private military corporation who are engineering a secret bioweapon that they intend to drop on civilian targets in order to foment global conflict, off of which they can subsequently profit. And since it's a co-op campaign, Peter Petrelli of course suffers from that strange affliction where he keeps imagining the voices of 3 other characters who magically pop out of his arse during cutscenes, because who's got time to program bots with all these functionally identical assault rifles that need polishing? Your teammates include Michael Rooker, and then to counteract the established wall of angry white guy energy, a reasonable black dude and a slightly less reasonable lady dude. Don't look to any of these twats for much in the way of distinct personality. A token effort is made to establish Michael Rooker as the facetious one, but besides that I marked several occasions where the main characters changed their entire stance on the situation from one dialogue line to the next. I assume the game adjusts numbers of enemies based on number of players, so the game's quite playable solo, barring a couple of moments where we're expected to defend a point while enemies swarm in from all directions, which would usually end with me running around in circles being chased by a small horde, like a child having a severe falling out with their balloon. Maybe the devs thought it best to discourage solo play because they were afraid without the distraction of other players teabagging the corpses and talking over the cutscenes to ask if you know what's going on, we might notice that the story's a load of old wank-sodden supermarket-owned brand paper towels. We attack the evil private military corporation and get a face full of the bioweapon they're working on, and it turns out that it's Scarecrow fear gas. And isn't it nice that I can say that and you immediately know what I'm talking about? Who says there's no monoculture anymore? So of course we start wildly hallucinating mental realms based on our characters' memories. Apparently the stupid floating platform mental realm mission at the end of Black Ops 6 was more a proof of concept than an awkward hard left out of nowhere, and what follows is a sort of hallucinatory love letter to the Black Ops series thus far. Only don't call it a love letter lest you undermine the game's alpha male testosterone levels. So we touch base with various previous protagonists going through hallucinatory floaty platform versions of important moments, which is where the plant monster thing happens, although the giant Michael Rooker incident doesn't even have that level of justification, and interact with good old Alex Mason from Black Ops 1, who is Peter Petrelli's dad. And I couldn't help laughing at the bit where we go through his childhood memories and learn that Alex Mason lived in a fucking log cabin in the woods, and we see idyllic and wholesome memories of him teaching his son to fish and clean a rifle and most optimally torture foreigners extra-legally. At this point, the gameplay designer must have kicked down the story department's door and went, "It's co-op, you idiots! How the fuck are all the players hallucinating the same thing? Oh shit, their brains are all connected. Yeah, that works. It's a super secret military technology they have, presumably developed by someone who was a really bad conversationalist." So in summary, the story is really fucking dumb, the heroes are boring, and the smug villain with her army of masked stormtroopers have all the depth and moral complexity of fucking Cobra Commander, and it all culminates in blowing up an underwater tech base James Bond Bond style. But things don't end there. Post-credits, I took the wrong exit on my way to the title menu and suddenly found myself in what looked like a Ubisoft sandbox. You go back to one of the previous maps from the campaign, which I remember thinking at the time was weirdly large for what little we were doing in it, only now we've got a map spattered with icons and can go around doing little mini combat challenges to fill out the checklist. And out of curiosity, I pissed about in it for a while, wondering if Ubisoft Sandbox was the last thing the developers had needed to throw in to fill out their overly bloated shit AAA game bingo card, but was startled to see a random dude with an icon over their head run past who didn't react when I shot him, and it was only after I noticed him teabag a fallen stormtrooper that I realised, hey, what the fuck? That's a human player! Did you just wordlessly drop me into a multiplayer mode without asking, Black Ops 7? This is beyond the pale! Now the wedding party DJ has started roofieing me fucking drinks! Do I have to write a peer-off line across my fucking forehead? Take a fucking hint! I'm just not that into you, human race.
This video is brought to you by Play Tracker, the app that tracks your cross-platform game library, achievements, stats, and more. Play Tracker works by connecting to various gaming platforms and combining all your data in one place. It offers a unified cross-platform social experience, advanced game library labeling and sorting, fun challenges and progression system, and stats about games and the types of players who enjoy them. Play Tracker is for all kinds of gamers, like this one.
My top tags across all platforms are dating sim and psychological horror. I'm sure that says nothing about me as a person.
And this one.
My mate Captain Toe Jam 96 and I have a lot of games in common. We should tackle some challenges together.
And even me! I'm better than all of you. Unite your gaming multiverse with Play Tracker today and join the official Second Wind Guild to unlock exclusive profile decorations by playing games recommended by us, a group of ostensibly professional gamers with allegedly great taste in games. Ooh.